Hey all you snakes, it's Janet here, and I'm back with my first What If video. I know I'm new to the Drag Race YouTuber universe, but I just thought this is such an interesting concept for a video that I had to do it right now. I know no one watched my last video, and I know no one's going to watch this video, but basically when it comes to Drag Race, I love season 12, and I do not love season 13, as much as I love most of the queens on the cast. So, I decided to take the queens of season 13, but instead of them competing on season 13, they'll be competing on season 12. Because the main issue with season 13 wasn't the queens themselves, but rather the crappy challenges mixed with the crappy production decisions. While season 12 did have some questionable decisions, I mainly didn't care about it too much because it made the season more enjoyable to watch. On season 13, everything just didn't feel natural. Every decision was obviously predetermined, such as the lip sync winners, Gottmik's ball win, Candy and Symone's double save, Utica's elimination, Denali's elimination, Tamisha's elimination. You get the idea. So how are we going to do this? Well, I went through every queen on this cast and identified their strengths and weaknesses when it comes to the challenges on Drag Race. Denali is obviously a great performer, and she's also good at improv, as we saw in Bossy Rossi and Snatch Game. However, she's not good at acting. Although she was eliminated on a branding/fashion challenge, I'm not going to put that as a weakness, because she had the 4th or 5th best runway package of the season. Elliot is an amazing performer, as we saw in both Congratulations and her lip sync against Lala, but she's not great at improv, as she was in the bottom 2 for both the improv challenges she was there for. Gottmik did receive a bit of favouritism in season 13, actually a lot of favouritism, and we could assume that she would still be favoured even if she was on season 12. However, we can deduct that performing is not her strong suit, while fashion and comedy are. Joey J, I guess, is good at acting, but that's only because the acting challenge is the only challenge she was safe for, whilst she struggles in fashion and design. Kimura, what can I say? She's not an actor, she's not a performer, but my god, she is stunning. The fact that she had the best runway on the episode she got eliminated just tells us that she would have been the fashion queen of the season had she made it further. Candy Muse, love or a hater, is great at comedy, and I guess acting, though she does fall into the trap of playing herself a lot. Though season 13 is probably the best fashion season of all time, there's no denying that Candy and Tina were the biggest offenders in the looks department. Lala didn't exactly have the best run on her season, but we all know what her biggest crime was. Olivia is one of those queens who started out really strong, but she started really struggling in the competition towards the end. And it's complicated, you know, identifying her strong points and weak points, because she won an improv challenge, but she was in the bottom for another. So is it a strong point or a weak point? I decided to put it as a strong point, because a challenge win is a challenge win, but comedy and branding were quite a challenge for her, as she was in the bottom for the roast, makeover and branding challenge. Rosé didn't really have many weak points, seeing as she never had to lip sync for her life, but some of her fashion choices, were undeniably questionable. But she's obviously a great performer and is very funny. Symone, very obvious, she was in the bottom for the Rosical and the roast, and she won the acting challenge. And she is one of the who I consider to be the 3 fashion queens of the season. Tamisha was great in the acting challenge. I also put performance as a strong suit, even though she was eliminated on a performance challenge. Reason for that is because 1, she didn't deserve that, and 2, she killed it in Phenomenon. Tina is an interesting case. I put fashion as her weak point because, like I said earlier, she and Candy were the biggest offenders when it came to runway looks. I put performance as a strong suit because she was great in the Rusical, and she should not have been anywhere near the bottom 3. Finally, Utica, it's obvious. She was in the bottom for every comedy-based challenge in the season, and she also made the single best garment ever seen on the show. I also put performance in her strong suit because she did well in Phenomenon, and was robbed of a top placement in the Rusical. Now, assuming that the season will not be as heavily overproduced as season 13 was, we still do need to look at this season through a production standpoint. We know that Gottmik will still be favoured, Candy Muse will be in the finale, and they would still not give a damn about Tamisha, Utica, and Denali. While I'm doing this, I will try to be as unbiased as possible, and if you don't believe me, let me just tell you now, Utica is not only my absolute favourite queen on this cast, She's also one of my absolute favourite queens of all time. Lastly, one more thing. There's no need to take this so seriously. This is just something I decided to do for fun because I have too much free time on my hands. This isn't what actually happened. It's probably not what would have happened. If you don't agree with the decisions I make, that's fine. I'm just judging this based on what I think production would want. Okay, so first thing we need to do is split up the queens. On season 13, they were split up into the winner's circle and the true winner's circle through 6 lip syncs in the premiere. We're not going to do that here. On season 12, the queens were split up into the queens that would do better in a pop song bitch track and the queens that would do better in a Fosse. So, I'm going to do that based on the queens' musical and performance backgrounds and on their performances in Congratulations and Phenomenon. Therefore, Group 1 consists of Denali, Gottmik, Joey J, Kimora Hall, Lala Ri, Tamisha Iman, and Utica Queen. And Group 2 consists of Elliot with 2 T's, Candy Muse, Olivia Lux, Rosé, Symone, and Tina Burner. You might think Elliot would be better off in I'm That Bitch, but it was between her and Tamisha, and I'm pretty sure production would want Candy and Tamisha separate for the first 2 episodes, plus Tamisha killed Phenomenon. Episode 1 is I'm That Bitch, featuring Denali, Gottmik, Joey J, Kimora, Lala, Tamisha, and Utica. Here are the placements. Hear me out. I think Lala Ri would absolutely eat I'm That Bitch up. She's a great performer. She was one of the better ones in Congratulations, and she beat Denali twice. Gottmik and Kimora both struggled in their performance, so they're low. Joey J counted as low in Phenomenon, but that was mainly because of her fashion choices. I thought her verse was really fun. I'm a gay ass bitch. I'm Joey J. Villa Queen plot twist. I came to slay. Therefore, she, Utica, and Tamisha all count as high. But of course, just like originally, no one goes home this episode. Episode 2 is You Don't Know Me, featuring Elliot, Candy, Olivia, Rosé, Symone, and Tina. Here are the placements. 3 of these queens were in the top 2 for their performances on season 13, so we know that 2 of them will be the top 2. Rosé will obviously be in the top 2, and the second place was between Symone, Olivia, and Elliot. I cancelled out Olivia because I do think she could be a bit nice, not that's a bad thing. But for a cell block tango-like performance, that could be less intriguing compared to someone like Symone. I did give Symone the extra top 2 spot because Elliot is just more of a dancing queen, which isn't really necessary for Fosse. Like, you didn't see Jada, Jan, Dahlia, Rocco, or Aiden doing splits and dips during You Don't Know Me in season 12. Candy obviously struggled in Congratulations, and Tina did okay, but I think she would count as low if they decided to critique her on her fashion show. Also, if she still does the whole Tina Burner on fire like the Hunger Games, it could be a little bit cringe, but you know, good cringe. Episode 3 is World's Worst, and they decide to bring the 2 groups together. RuPaul asks the winners of the first 2 episodes, Lala and Symone, to rank the girls based on how they would think of them as competition. Symone, I think, would obviously rank Kimora last. As much as I love her, I don't think anyone expected her to make it far on season 13. Lala, I don't think would rank Candy or Tina last, maybe out of knowing their background or maybe out of fear. Therefore, I feel like, based on first impressions, Lala would rank Olivia last. Maybe she'll be put off by her innocent charm. Therefore, the team captains for this challenge are Symone, Lala Ri, Kimora Hall, and Olivia Lux. Symone will pick first, and she'll pick the 2 strongest competitors that are available to her, Rosé and Denali. These 3 will do the Del Rio trio sketch that was originally performed by Heidi, Jackie, and Gigi. Lala picks Elliot and Gottmik because Elliot did well in episode 2 and Gottmik is Gottmik, and they will do the Girl Scout sketch that was originally performed by Willow, Nikki, and Crystal. Kimora picks Joey J, Tamisha Iman, and Candy Muse because she believes Candy can help their team succeed, Tamisha based on how she did in I'm That Bitch, and Joey J because they are playing fruits, and who better to play a fruit than the first and currently only gay contestant to ever be on Drag Race. And of course, they do the fruit sketch, originally performed by Jada, Jan, Rock, and Dahlia. That leaves Olivia with Utica and Tina. Liv and Utica obviously got quite close during filming, and they even went on a date afterwards. Still waiting to find out if anything happened since that date. And Tina because I don't know if Tina's the last to be picked in this scenario, or if Olivia picks Tina because she's a decent actor. They obviously do the 3 Girls 1 Brain sketch that Aiden and Britta did originally. Here are the placements. Gottmik, Joey J, Olivia, Rosé, Tamisha, Tina, and Utica are all safe. Yes, Utica was in the bottom for both improv challenges on season 13, but she's doing the 3 girls 1 brain thing, so I don't see how she could go wrong doing exactly the same thing as Olivia and Tina. Denali, Symone and Candy are the top 3. I think the Del Rio trio would still be the best group, but production would probably want to put Candy on top as well to solidify her as a frontrunner. But I mean, just like in the acting challenge on season 13, it wouldn't be undeserved because she would do a good job as an apple or whatever fruit she'd end up playing. However, there isn't any particular queen that they need to give a win too early on just for the sake of it, so I do think that Symone would win this challenge. That leaves Elliot, Kimora and Lala as the bottom 3. I think Lala will be kept as low based on the fact that she's won a challenge, and so Elliot and Kimora lip sync to Problems by Ariana Grande. I can only hope this lip sync would be better than the one we had on season 12. And Elliot would absolutely murder Kimora on the dance floor, so I guess Kimora Hall would still be the first out even on season 12. Episode 4 is the Ball. I don't think the tops and bottoms would change. Gottmik, Rosé and Utica are still the top 3, however, this is the Ball.
Queen of the balls! Girl, like, I cover myself in balls all the time, so, like, queen of the balls. Yeah, I would say I'm a queen.
Yeah, there is no chance that Utica is not winning this one. They got away with it on season 13, but they're not getting away with it now. The bottom 3 also doesn't change. I don't know if Lala's outfit will be quite as horrendous as the bag look, but it'll probably still be bottom 2 worthy. She lip syncs against Joey J, who unfortunately still goes home here. Episode 5 is Gay's Anatomy. On season 12, there was a top 6 and the other 5 were either safe, low, or in the bottom 2. Now, we don't know who would have played what role, so to make this easier, I'm just going to separate the good actors from the less good actors. Therefore, the top 6 will be Gottmik, Candy Muse, Rosé, Symone, Tamisha Iman, and Tina Burner. And I honestly think production would see this as a chance to give Candy Muse her first win. And it wouldn't be undeserved because Candy is very funny and would most likely do well in this challenge. That leaves the bottom 5 as Denali, Elliot with 2 T's, Lala Ree, Olivia Lux, and Utica Queen. So, we know that Lala and Utica are not lip syncing since they have both won challenges at this point, and since this is not Drag Race UK, no challenge winners are allowed to lead episode 5. That leaves Denali, Elliot, and Liv. Now, Elliot was safe for the acting challenge, but Candy said that she thought that she would be in the bottom. Still, I don't think Elliot would be horrible in this challenge because the fact that she was safe on season 13 means that there were worse people than her. Therefore, the bottom 2 will be Denali and Olivia Lux. On season 13, Olivia was the one who sent Denali home, and to this day, the toxic Denali stans still hate her for it. But Denali isn't dressed in Olivia's drag for the lip sync to Heart to Break, so there's nothing holding her back. So I do think Olivia would go home here, unfortunately, so yeah, that's different. On season 12, someone who originally made the top 5 would go home third. Episode 6 is Snatch Game with Lala and Tamisha. Now, assuming that everyone does the same characters as originally, there is no doubt that Elliot and Utica are still the bottom 2. Gottmik still wins, Rosé and Denali are still high, but because Olivia's not here, we need a new queen to be low. I obviously went with the only queen out of the remaining 5 that went home on an improv challenge, Lala. Elliot and Utica lip sync to Let It Go, and I don't know if it's because Elliot would have given up at this point, or if it's because Utica is more of a cosplay queen than Elliot is, but I still think that Utica sends Elliot home at Snatch Game. Episode 7 is the Madonna Rusical. We know that Rosé is winning this. We saw in All Stars 8 how Lala killed the Rusical, so she's high along with Tina. Putting Lala in the top would be a great comeback for her after being low/bottom 2 for 4 episodes in a row. Tina is high because she hasn't been critiqued in a while, and she's a theatrical queen. And we're going off of the assumption that they would not put her in the bottom 3 for one tiny slip up at the end. Now we need to think about Gottmik. During Disco Menstruary, they edited her out of the part that she did with Tina and Candy to try and cover up the fact that she clearly forgot her choreo. But they won't be able to do that here. Therefore, I think that she will be low, and if she does the worst in the challenge, they can just use the whole "the runway saved her" excuse like they do for a lot of their favourites. Now, this is going to be the Candy and Tamisha lip sync. I know Symone was in the bottom 2 for the musical on season 13, but she's going to be Madonna, and I doubt that she'd mess up as bad as Mick, Tamisha, and Candy. Therefore, Candy and Tamisha lip sync, and Candy, just like originally, sends Tamisha home. Episode 8 is Droop. On season 12, they had a top 4 and a bottom 4. The 4 that I think would make a decent commercial are Denali, Candy, Rosé, and Symone. Symone and Rosé had a double win originally, but this time I think Symone will get a solo win, because the runway theme is Black Wedding, and I mean, we saw Rosé's little black dress. So yeah, I think that would definitely push Symone ahead for the win. That leaves Gottmik, Lala, Tina, and Utica. Originally, Utica and Tina were the bottom 2 on the season 13 branding challenge, even though I don't necessarily think either of them deserved it, even if we got a great lip sync out of it. We know Gottmik's not lip syncing, because production was allergic to putting her in the bottom, and Tina, while her commercial may be kind of meh, does have an established brand, though she may get rid of her runway look, assuming that she still manages to incorporate red, orange, and yellow into her black wedding dress. Out of these 4, Utica would undoubtedly have the best runway, but remember, production doesn't care about her. So she and Lala are the bottom 2. They lip sync to This Is My Night by Shaka Khan, in front of Shaka Khan, and in a wedding dress. I just think that Lala would absolutely annihilate this lip sync, so I do think Utica goes home here. I'm so sorry, my love. Episode 9 is Choices 2020, and I think that this will be Denali's challenge. Gottmik gets a comeback after being low twice in a row, but she does get rid for doing the Valley Girl character again. Symone is high, and Rosé is safe, not because she's bad, but because she gets outshined. Bringing it down to the runway, which is stars and stripes, Tina will probably incorporate flames into it, which would not fit the category. However, production would probably want Lala gone at this point, and they would put her against someone who could actually beat her in a lip sync, that being Candy Muse. They lip sync to Firework by Katy Perry, and after lighting up the stage one more time, the Lala re-experience comes to an end. Episode 10 is the Superfan Makeover. It's simple. 3 of them did well in the makeover, 3 of them did not do well in the makeover. Though originally, Symone won this challenge with Utica, I actually think the win will go to Gottmik, because they are making over Superfans, and Gottmik is the best makeup artist of the cast. Plus, Symone isn't paired with Utica, and we've seen with other makeovers in the past, people can be reluctant to go to a certain place, and I don't think Gottmik's partner would be as reluctant as someone would be with Symone. Also, production would really want Gottmik to have 2 wins this season. Of the bottom 3, I think we can agree that Rosé's makeover of Tina is the least busted, so she's kept as low. Tina and Denali lip sync to Kill the Lights, and it's a double save because it's the Superfan makeover and no one was ever going to go home this week. Episode 11 is the one-woman show. Based on what happened in season 13, Symone is in the bottom 2, and based on what Bob and Monet said, Tina is in the bottom 2. Everyone else is high, and Candy wins because she would probably have the audience laughing the most. Symone and Tina lip sync to 1999, and Tina Burner goes home on episode 11 again. Episode 12 is the Work the World remix, and Rosé wins because it's another singing challenge. Now, even though on season 12 there was an obvious queen who should have been in the bottom, they decided to judge it based on track record. As you can see from this slide here, the 2 queens with the worst track records are Candy Muse and Denali. Therefore, they lip sync to On the Floor, but even though Denali would probably do a better job than Candy, production doesn't care about Denali, and so they eliminate her at top 5 and the fandom flips out. That leaves us going into the finale with a top 4 consisting of Gottmik, Candy Muse, Rosé, and Symone. Exactly the same as on season 13. Episode 13 is the reunion, episode 14 is the finale, Lala wins Miss Congeniality, the top 4 lip sync for the crown, Candy and Rosé lip sync, Candy wins, Gottmik and Symone lip sync, Symone wins, and Candy and Symone lip sync, and Symone wins RuPaul's Drag Race Season 12. So I guess what we learned today is that Symone is a great queen and she deserved to win because she would have also won Season 12. Thank you very much for watching. That is if you actually did watch this video, which you probably didn't. I know in the last video no one watched. I said I would be casting the next 6 All-Star seasons, but I have to rethink that now that we've got our official All-Stars 9 cast. Follow me here, subscribe. I post drawings of Drag Race queens as Funko Pops on my socials. On the screen right now are some of my personal favourites, so follow me on Instagram if you would like to see more. Again, thank you for watching. Stay true, stay strong, and stay venomous.